Next, from the Senate chamber and the state capitol, we hear the closing arguments on the Medicaid reform bill. We'll first hear from Senator Dale Ryder, and then from the bill's sponsor, Senator Heather Steans. This runs about 10 minutes.
For what has been, it has been a very difficult path. It really has been. Let's start with what's in the motion before us, because there's been some confusion about that. In Senate Bill 2840, there are a list of 61 reforms or changes to the state's Medicaid program that involve either changing the income thresholds at which people can make money and still be eligible for the Medicaid program. There are a handful of program eliminations in this bill, and then the lion's share is our utilization controls or utilization tools. In other words, what we can give to the Department of Health Care and Family Services and to the administration to try to control spending, to try to bend the liability downwards with regards to the Medicaid program. This program has grown at an average rate of between 7% and 8% for the last decade. That is, by any definition, an unsustainable rate of growth. Now, what is not in this bill? There are no tax increases in this bill. This is limited to changing what the Medicaid program looks like. Now, of the $1.6 billion that's been referenced on this floor, now let's be clear, $1.6 billion is if the administration grabs hold of the toolbox that they've been given here and fully utilizes it. Of that $1.6 billion, only about $300 million are actually program eliminations, which means the other 80% or so are things that the Department of Health Care and Family Services and this administration have to do and do effectively in order to save any money. And the reason I raise that is because no one should walk away from this chamber tonight if this bill passes the Senate and say, "Oh, we did our part, didn't we?" That would not be true. The lion's share of the work in order to make the changes in this bill work is yet to be done if this bill passes the Senate. We are going to have to work with and push and provoke the administration to move forward on all of the things that are in this bill. The administration agreed to some of the items in here wholeheartedly. There were some others that they were talked into, and there were a handful in which there was a wrestling match, so to speak, and they lost it. But all of them have to work in order to save the forecasted money. Now, I don't want to get down into the weeds of all of what these changes are, because really, for those of us in this chamber, the choice is really clear. And there are tough choices in here, and I've heard a number of speakers on the other side of the aisle talk about the damage they think can be done and the tough choices that need to be made. And you know what? You're right. In some of your instances, you're right. There are going to be people who get benefits today under Illinois' Medicaid program who, after the administration fully implements these reforms, will no longer receive them. Or they will not receive them in so convenient a manner as they do today. And that'll be tough on some people. I mean, let's be real about that. But let's look at why we're here and why that needs to happen. In 2003, the backlog of bills for the Medicaid program was about $450 million. Today, that number at the end of this fiscal year will be $1.9 billion. We talk about compassion for the people who are on the lowest rungs of the economic ladder. Those are the ones who suffer the worst from us not paying our bills. They suffer the worst. And here's why. Is because the higher our stack of unpaid bills is, the longer providers have to wait to be paid. The longer providers have to wait to be paid, the more disgruntled they get with dealing with Medicaid. And the more disgruntled they get in dealing with Medicaid, the more I'm saying, I'm not dealing with Medicaid anymore. I'm out of here. And the more providers who drop out of the system means less access for the people for whom you are voicing your concern. The program is out of control. It needs to be reined in. And we are long past the point when we could impose some relatively minor utilization controls and say, we've fixed this problem. The damage is too severe. The backlog of bills is way too heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, the floor is falling out beneath the people that you're talking about. This presents an opportunity. It presents an opportunity to begin to turn this program around. It starts here tonight by doing that, but it only starts here tonight. It doesn't end tonight. There are some tough choices in this bill, but it's a better choice than letting the program continue to limp down a road of unpaid bills, fewer providers, less access. I urge an aye vote. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Senator Steans to close.
Thank you, and thanks to the many speakers here tonight. I vowed not to get emotional, so forgive me here for a second. This has been a grueling process. It's something we care deeply about. Quality health care is a fundamental right, I believe, of every Illinoisan. And my goal in this, and working with Senator Ryder, has been a privilege. He's a very honorable and came at this with, I think, great integrity, as did Representative Bellock and Sarah Feigenholtz and Director Hamas and her entire team. And the real goal in all of this has entirely been making sure we really do put this onto a right ship path where we can actually sustain quality health care for every Illinoisan. We have to do that. It is a fundamental right. And if we continue to let this go unaddressed, we're not going to be able to do that. So in the way we've approached this very much is trying to balance it, minimize and do the least harm to the fewest number of people while making sure we're putting in place, I think, some very strong policy decisions embedded in this document to get us into a better place down the track and ensure we're not back here ever again having to make these kinds of dramatic reductions. One of the bills that, what's not in here, but will be in a separate bill that's tied, for example, is Section 25 Medicaid reform, which Senator Ryder has been such a strong advocate for, and Senator Murphy spoke so eloquently about. We've been able to underfund our program because of this, and got ourselves into this situation by underfunding the Medicaid program so dramatically this year. That will be a separate bill we have the chance to vote on. It'll be a part of this package and should ensure that we don't allow ourselves to ever have to be taking these kind of steps again. And then in terms of the way we approached having to do the service reductions here really has been trying to make sure that we're doing it as much as possible through service reduction, through utilization controls, really getting more management around the programs, ensuring we're getting rid of waste and fraud and corruption that has been going on with the provider community, as well as getting folks that are ineligible for the roles off, first and foremost, and then and only then going towards figuring out how we can limit the services, put on the controls to make sure that we maintain a good program of quality health care for everyone in the state. I think this is a very needed step for us to be taken. It's been a grueling process getting here. I very much want to thank the Director Hamas and all of her staff. They've been putting in unbelievable hours in all of this, as has Senator Ryder, his staff, and the other colleagues. I want to thank Senator Delgado and Trotter, who really did work to make sure we did do the least harm to the fewest number of people in this process. And then I really want to thank Kristen Richards and Kim Schultz, who have just done, again, unbelievable amount of hours into making this the best that we could possibly do given the circumstances we're in. I urge an aye vote. Thank you.
The question is, shall the Senate concur in House Amendments 2, 4, and 5 to Senate Bill 2840? All those in favor will vote aye. Opposed, nay. The voting is open. Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Have all voted who wish? Take the record. On that question, there are 44 voting aye, 13 voting no, 2 voting present. Having received the required constitutional majority, the Senate does concur in House Amendments 2, 4, and 5 to Senate Bill 2840, and the bill is declared passed.